Who are you? Not your name, your job, or your address, but the story you tell about yourself. We all carry an inner narrative, one that connects where we have been, where we are, and where we are going. Let's explore how that story is built, how it can be broken, and most importantly, how it can be reclaimed. Our identity isn't a fixed thing. It's a story we are constantly writing. Beginning in late adolescence, we weave together our reconstructed past, our perceived present, and our imagined future into a coherent whole. For this story to feel believable to ourselves and others, it needs to hold together across 4 dimensions: temporal, causal, thematic, and cultural. When it does, the result is a powerful sense of unity and purpose.
Here is something striking. It is not just what happens to us that shapes our mental health, it is how we story it. Research shows 2 distinct narrative patterns. In redemption sequences, people find meaning in suffering. The story rises from hardship, and this fosters resilience. In contamination sequences, good things consistently turn bad. The story spirals downward, and this pattern is strongly linked to depression. The structure of our story matters as much as the events themselves.
But we don't write our stories in isolation. Every society has what researchers call master narratives, dominant cultural scripts that define the rules, values, and blueprints for what it means to be a successful, good member of that culture. These aren't subtle suggestions. They are powerful frameworks designed to promote conformity and social order. And if you don't fit inside that frame, as we'll see, that's where things get complicated.
Master narratives are not always natural or organic. They are often deliberately engineered by powerful institutions to serve specific social and economic agendas. A clear historical example is the mid-20th century American dream. What began as a broad ideal of human potential was reshaped in the 1950s into a rigid mandate: suburban homeownership, consumer capitalism, uniformity, and prescribed gender roles. Anyone who lived outside these boundaries, alternative families, non-conforming individuals, dissenting voices, was labeled as abnormal or even pathological. The script was written. Deviation was not tolerated.
What happens when your real life doesn't match the story society tells you it should? You experience what researchers call narrative dissonance. Imagine someone who works tirelessly, does everything right, and yet remains in poverty. Their lived experience stands in direct contradiction to the cultural script that says hard work equals success. This collision creates profound cognitive dissonance, a grinding tension between who you are and who the culture says you should be. When narrative dissonance goes unresolved, the consequences are serious at 2 levels. For the individual, the identity becomes fractured. This can trigger an existential identity crisis, increased anxiety and depression, and deep self-stigma. For society, when the gap between the promised narrative and tangible reality grows too wide, a legitimation crisis emerges, marked by a breakdown of institutional trust and widespread feelings of betrayal. The story has failed its people. So, what is the alternative to top-down engineered scripts? Organic narratives, built from the bottom up. Rather than following a pre-written playbook, communities engage in collaborative, evidence-driven conversations about their shared daily experiences. This is especially visible during moments of uncertainty, like natural disasters, when people come together to make sense of what's happening. These conversations aren't scripted. They emerge from real lives, real voices, and shared meaning-making. In this organic process, storytelling becomes what researchers describe as the social glue of a community. Through a practice called community narration, individuals share their most significant personal stories, and in doing so,
They find common threads. When multiple people align their psychological processes and begin to see the world similarly, it creates a shared worldview and strong in-group bonds. Social identity theory tells us this is deeply human. We naturally adopt the narratives of our group's prototype in order to belong.
Let's put these two narrative systems side by side. Engineered narratives originate top-down from institutions, aim for conformity and social order, and take the form of rigid scripts and mandates. Organic narratives, by contrast, emerge bottom-up from individuals, aim for cohesion and collective sense-making, and take shape through collaborative, data-driven conversations. One imposes a story, the other grows one. Understanding the difference is essential to understanding how we experience identity today.
In the digital age, engineered narratives have found a powerful new weapon: algorithmic platforms. Today, technology increasingly divides communities by casting the world in stark terms: the good guys versus the bad guys. This leads to disintegrated pluralism and a spiral of silence, where dissenting voices are drowned out or suppressed. Nuance disappears, complexity is flattened, and the result is communities fractured along lines that serve platform engagement, not human connection.
The mechanism behind this disruption is neurochemical. Social media algorithms are engineered to exploit our brain's reward pathways, triggering responses that make us crave external validation through likes and shares. This dependency shapes our sense of self. Complex discourse is replaced by emotionally charged viral memes and trending hashtags. The cycle is self-reinforcing. Algorithmic prompts drive polarization, reward pathways activate, external validation deepens dependence, and echo chambers harden, eroding trust in facts and making it nearly impossible, especially for adolescents, to navigate competing cultural expectations. But there is a way forward. Researchers, led by foundational figures like Dan P. McAdams, emphasize the vital practice of restorying. By actively engaging in narrative writing and intentionally co-constructing empowering alternative community stories, individuals can restore their psychological well-being, resist digitally manipulated scripts, and re-establish authentic social cohesion. Restorying gives us back something essential: agency, the power to erase the narrative that was handed to us and rewrite one that is genuinely our own. Identity is not a fixed trait. It is an ongoing narrative, one that we must actively author. We have traced that journey today, from the personal story we construct to the societal scripts imposed upon us, through the digital fractures of the modern age, and toward the possibility of restoring and cohesion. The pen is in your hand. What story will you choose to write?